Well, good evening. I'd like to continue this conversation with you tonight on intimacy and protecting your intimacy. And just a quick review, I'm referring to the kind of intimacy that is wrapped around the concept of staying vulnerable. And what I mean by that is that when you're developing a relationship with a child, a spouse, a business partner, a friend, if you really want to have a deep relationship, they need to be able to know what's going on inside of you. So, to protect the intimacy, what I mean by that is that I'm going to remain vulnerable while we figure out what's going on inside of me and you, so we can begin to develop a true relationship. See, most relationships go really well until there's a problem, right? It's kind of like Bliss, First Love, Danny Silk. One of my dear mentors out of Bethel says that, you fall in love and there's la 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 and everything's just great and wonderful, hunky-dory. But in reality, you're just kind of dancing around the energy of everything's great, but in all reality, it's not. And not that it's bad, it's just that there's always going to be differences. So we're going to talk about that from the perspective of how to stay powerful and how to protect the love in your relationship. And I think it's very important to understand that when you're addressing something, you need to let them know that you are not here to control them. You are not here to snare them. You're not here to lure them in to the point of communication to bam, you can jump on them and grab them and totally control them, because you don't have control of anybody anyways. Control is an illusion. On a really good day, you can somewhat control yourself. But for the most part, everybody's dealing with that. And yet, we think that if we control everybody around us, and we have control, and the reality is you barely have control of yourself. So it's an illusion. So I'm not here to control you. I'm also not here to blame you for things that are happening in my life. In a vulnerable relationship, I'm going to stay true to me. I'm going to be open with what's going on inside of me, as it's my thing. It's not your fault. You didn't cause it. You're not the source of it. I'm going to own it. And I'm going to protect the relationship above the issue. You see, that all sounds good until there's a big issue. And typically what people want to do is they want to say, I love you, and I want to protect our relationship, but this issue is so big that I'm going to hold it over you. And the reason to hold it over you is because I'm afraid you're going to do it again. So if I don't find a way to either punish you or control you or reduce you, we have a problem. So when we introduce the concept of freedom, when we introduce the concept that we are all created on equal ground by God, that He loves us, where our leaders are truly free, you have to have a way to deal with situations that don't go well. And the problem is that what most people tend to want to do when things don't go well is they want to reduce them, punish them, make them vanish, make them disappear, make them go away so that you can therefore somehow deal with it. And then they go even as far as emitting the punishment, but oftentimes the punishment, this is a sad reality, but pay attention here, the punishment is based on what it takes to satisfy the crowd. The congregation, the team, the culture of the corporation, that we need a punishment that lets them know, A, we've punished them so you can relax. B, if you do this is what's going to happen to you, so we can lead by fear. But what we don't ever end up dealing with is the real issue that's giving this person permission to act in the way we do. And the reality is, if we try to just reduce them and control them and smash them down, well, let's be honest, that isn't working at all. Because they simply just leave, and then what have you accomplished? Or if they do leave, they drag their problem with it, and they find a new group that will trust them, and then the problem repeats itself. And so all you've done is run the problem off and hope it doesn't come back in your neighborhood. In reality, as brothers and sisters in Christ, people that love each other, that really look at the kingdom as a family, and you're my brother and you're my sister, and I'm committed to honor you and to help you, and I can't afford to look at you any differently than God does, then my covenant is to remind you of the greatness inside of you. My responsibility is to get back to the identity of who and whose you are, so that we can begin to act out of the identity of greatness, the identity of grace, the identity of excellence. If all I do is smash you, we subdue the behavior for a while, but then it rears its ugly head again. And that's a problem. And I'm asking the world to step up, those of you that are watching these videos, to stop working on developing a punishment system, a way to banish them to the Badlands, and try the hard road. You know what the hard road is? To try to remind them of the greatness and the truth of them, and to restore them to that belief system to such a depth that they begin to act in a way that's consistent with who they know they are. Now that takes a lot of time, and that takes a lot of work, but it's the right thing to do. If not, we're just punishing and sending the problem down the road to the next person. And I think if we were to look at our society in general, that's probably been going on for hundreds of years. And now we have all these problems running around, getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Hence our problem with drugs, our problem with alcohol, our problems with abandonment, our problems with self-image, our problems of brokenness, because we keep pushing the problem off versus going, let's go deep and let's remind you of how awesome you are. Let's get back to that identity and build such a deep relationship with the truth of who you are and whose you are, to a point where your life begins to react and reflect the truth of that identity. I hope that helps out a little bit. Lots more going on that subject. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.